we're going in so to make sure if this person gets pulled over in another town, they don't have the information is correct. But that's the first thing that these individuals get is the opportunity. If you have insurance, let us know, and we're going to correct the state system. The second thing is, and by the way, that can be done in less than 10 minutes online. The second issue is if you did not have insurance at the time, and plus we have a cost center, by the way. If you did not have insurance, you can voluntarily agree to enter into a diversion program. And that diversion program is this. You can, first and foremost, get insurance. Prove the insurance. And when you get insurance, you say, I have insurance, we will be able to check that you have insurance now. Second is you enter into a diversion program, all voluntary, that you pay a fee of $300. The third thing is that you agree, you go online and you complete, it's about a 28-minute kind of a video that really explains why we have these laws in the first place, why it's important. Your third option is you're welcome to go to court. And at that point, it goes out of our hands and it's strictly in the police department's hand. What's important to note here is that under the statute, that if you didn't have insurance and you're found guilty, the judge doesn't have a lot of options. He is required by statute, he must impose a state minimum fee, the state's part of it, $200, plus the city's cost of uninsured motorists, which runs, I think Columbus maybe about $500 to $600. Plus the statute says that individual's license is automatically suspended, and that license cannot be renewed or cannot be reinstated until that person has proof of insurance, and then they must also pay the reinstatement fee to DPS to have their license reinstated. So that's what the current law is in the state. As you can imagine, my experience in Ocean Springs, 99.9% of the people that are getting this are immediately choosing, I won't say immediately, when they get around to it, are choosing the diversion route. The other thing that, let me tell you, these cameras that Securex pays for, puts up, and maintains, we bought 6 cameras for the city of Ocean Springs. It was approximately $75,000. But the cameras just don't do, the cameras, our system has 13 alerts built into it. And that includes the Amber Alerts, the Silver Alerts, the Bolo Alerts. So for example, if there was a child, God forbid, kidnapped, and there is a Amber Alert out, if that vehicle passes that camera, within 5 seconds, your dispatcher is going to get an alert that vehicle just passed that point. Same thing if you've got a hit and run, you name it. It is absolutely useful, a tremendous tool as far as public safety. And so all these do this. I'll let Josh go into the cost, but basically everything here is paid for by Securex. But the bottom line, what we're trying to accomplish is not to generate fees. The bottom line is to try to move Mississippi from last. And by the way, the percentage of uninsured motorists has been going up every year, not down. But it's to move Mississippi and get more and more individuals to actually buy insurance. Since this program started about 6 weeks ago in Ocean Springs, we're nearing 300 individuals that didn't have insurance and have insurance now. And it's growing. So that's the purpose, is to get it down, because as we all know, it's not just the fact that they don't have insurance, it impacts the 70% of Mississippians that do. It's estimated I'll let Josh met with him, but the cost to the state for having uninsured motorists is astronomical. But that's how it goes. I can go through the legal part of it, what all we went, but in general, that is it's a program out there that is the purpose is to reduce the number of uninsured motorist drivers and also make your streets safer. And Josh, you want to jump in?
Yeah, you did a good job with the process. So to start, we kicked off the program January 1st, And the first month, we saw 5,400 hits in the system of potential uninsured vehicles. Insurance follows the vehicle, not the person. So we looked at those numbers and decided, okay, let's test the state's data because the program is only as good as the state's data. So we did an initial batch of 500, and we decided, okay, we're gonna get these 500 through 2 court dates. So we sent out 500, has a court date and time listed on it. We had that first court date, and I would say probably a third of the 500 dealt with their issue before or on that first court date. So if they just ignored us for the first court date, we sent a final court notice that has a big red bar on the envelope and a big red bar on the actual citation. And it is a uniform state of Mississippi citation. It's just like any other citation you get. It just comes in the mail. So after that first court date, the people who ignored us the first time got a final court notice along with a letter from Chief Dunstan, who's on the call with us, explaining the program. A lot of people didn't think the program was real. Since then, we've started doing paid digital advertising. A lot of people post their citations online asking if the program's legitimate. So after 2 court dates, the first 500, we realized, okay, we're getting a lot of commercial vehicles. So commercial insurance, most companies have umbrella policies and they're not tied to a specific license plate. So that was setting off our alerts. We have since figured out, okay, we can pull these commercial vehicles out. Remember, 90 to 95 out of the first 500. About 55 to 60 were able to prove in some form or fashion that they had insurance. One issue that we did pick up on, people have, especially with border counties with other states, people have Mississippi tags and out-of-state insurance. It's not legal, but they're paying for insurance. And so we've let them through the process and encouraged them to get their policies moved from out-of-state to in-state. And that was confirmed with the insurance department that you can't have out-of-state insurance with a Mississippi vehicle, with a Mississippi tag. So of the first 505 that went out, I think the total number on citations paid was around, I'll get the exact number of citations paid, 178 paid in some form or fashion. So you can pay with credit card, you can get on a payment plan, $100 over 3 months, $100 each month over 3 months. So that the first 500 totaled out to around $53,000, just over $53,000. Since then, we have sent another 2,000 citations in 3 different batches with various court dates. You know, one thing, another reason we did the first test of 500, we didn't know how many would show up to court. Both court dates for that first 500, I think the first day we had around 20 to 25 show up throughout the day. So court time was at 4 o'clock. And Robert, do you want to talk about how the plea date works and how they're showing up at a plea date, not necessarily a court hearing? Why don't you go into that?
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Ocean Springs has every other Tuesday a plea day that the municipal city clerk actually runs for any individual that has a ticket that doesn't want to go fight it. And so what they've done, and typically in Ocean Springs, that is 10 o'clock on every other Tuesday, what they've done is placed these citations for those plea dates for an hour later, 11. And so we've had 2 of them, and again, we've had maybe 20 people show up throughout the day for each of those. Virtually everybody has worked it out, entered some type of plan or paid or written a check, a lot of them, for the fine. A couple have come in that are going to go to the judge. A couple of individuals that, let me just say, are known to the police department have come in, and both of them had an identical, for separate cars, an identical handwritten bill of sale that they had happened to sell that vehicle the day before and therefore did not didn't need insurance, which would be in fact true. But those municipal clerk decided to let the judge handle those at the next one. So basically, we have one person throughout all of this process so far that has chosen to move on to the city. I'm moving on to trial on this. And the police departments gets a few calls on these. They send them to me. I got yesterday, I think, 3 calls from individuals that have gotten tickets asking questions. Interesting, by the way, and we had a conversation with your chief the other day, but interesting is that the calls I'm getting, I have not received a single call from anybody that says I can't afford insurance. Every call is the same thing. The reporter for the Sun Herald did a report on this, and he called me up in shock. Every call, every email, every text he's gotten is on the same thing. But the calls I'm getting, and that I got hung up on 3 times yesterday, I believe, is I'm not getting insurance. The state can't make me get insurance. I've never had insurance, and I never will. And I'll leave out the rest of the words. But again, I've not gotten a single call from somebody saying I can't afford it. And if somebody said that, then that would be a different thing that the mayor and the chief would have to deal with. But anyhow, that's how it's worked so far. There was, obviously with the city judge was very worried that sending out this number, that his system, his court was going to be overwhelmed. And the clerk had similar concerns, and that has not occurred. It's working quite well.
And I'll add that with military, if you're in the military, Columbus and Ocean Springs obviously has military residents, you can have out-of-state insurance. That is one scenario where you can have out-of-state insurance. But all other vehicles with Mississippi tags have to have Mississippi insurance. So to I guess wrap up what we're saying with the initial pitch, Securix covers all costs. The costs include cameras, which are about $12,000 a piece, printing and postage of citations, the call center, reimbursement of the law enforcement officers' time as they analyze these citations. And it has to be done by the police force. You can't have a third-party entity acting as the law enforcement agency. So that's really kind of it. Any initial questions that you might have?
What other cities besides Ocean Springs have y'all gotten on board?
Did you understand the question?
I couldn't hear it.
What other cities does Securix do this service for other than Ocean Spring?
Mayor, we didn't get, I don't know if you heard us, I couldn't hear that question.
Councilman Jones asked,
Okay.
are there other cities besides Ocean Springs where this is taking place
In Mississippi?
in Mississippi?
So Pearl launches. We'll do a soft launch next week, and they've got about 5 times the traffic that Ocean Springs has. Senatobia has approved it, and they'll kick off around May 1st or early May. I will say that our ALPRs, our 6 ALPRs that are on 90 through Ocean Springs, kind of the eastern border and the western border, we average taking about 1.7, 1.8 million pictures of tags a month. So that kind of tells you the traffic level. I'd say on 45 and 82 in Columbus, it's going to be a little higher traffic count than Ocean Springs. And it depends on where you put the cameras and how many cameras you put in.
I got a technical legal one.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so this is Jeff Turnage, the General Counsel. I've always understood that a misdemeanor had to be committed in the presence of an officer to get a citation. So are you saying the AG has given you an opinion that if the officer sees it on a video, that's the same as being committed in his presence?
Yes, what specifically under the uninsured statute states that as you know, you can't pull someone over just to check for insurance. But the statute specifically states that you can pull them over. The only time you can is if they commit a traffic crime, or at a roadblock wherein every motorist is pulled over. And so what it has been determined that this is basically an electronic roadblock. Pursuant to 65-15-4, we're using this as the officer is looking at the tag, and he makes, it's his call, it's his probable cause whether it exists or not. For several years, Jeff, in Mississippi, there have been school buses that are using the similar situation where people run around and stop arm on the school bus and using their cameras, and the police department is following that. But yeah, to answer your question, based upon what we're doing, is yes, you can. The city of Ocean Springs, now I'm not sure how much kind of technology, how many cameras y'all have in Columbus. But in Mark's on the phone, but we've been using cameras for other police activities and using those for probable cause to get warrants based upon information on cameras. I'll give you the best example of a shopper. But anyhow, does that help you at all?
Yeah,
It's a pleasure to meet you, by the way.
my pleasure. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Have you found that it has a remedial effect with somebody that's violated? Has it been in place long enough to know whether the defendant who's been cited and paid the fine or been through the program continues to maintain the insurance thereafter?
Yeah, the problem for them is if they get insurance, you know, we have, chiefs tell us all the time, people get a 6-month term and cancel it after a month. If they get a 6-month term and cancel it after a month and go back through the camera, they're gonna get another citation. So that's how it's enforced.
Jeff, I didn't know this until we got involved in it, but talking to insurance agents and police chiefs, what Josh just said, that's been a huge issue. I mentioned early on about if you get pulled over and you have a card, it's been a huge issue in this state. Huge issue is that the cards you get, that you keep in your car, says 6 months of insurance. And almost a large number of those, it's a monthly payment. And they get the card, they pay 1 month. The insurance is canceled, but they still have the card.
Yeah.
And that's a huge issue. We've now learned, talking to some other cities up in the northern part of the state and around, is you can now go online and you can pay $10 and you can get an insurance card that is very hard to tell that it's not real. Our system knows it's not real. And so it's just, again, some of the calls that I've got, it is they just don't think that the state has the right to make them do that. They have an absolute right to drive on the highway any way that they want to, and they're not going, so they go around it any way they can. You can't go around the system.
Can I assume, let's go to the fourth stage where they either did not receive this in the mail for whatever reason, or they received it and just threw it away? Is the I did nothing end up being tagged to their registration of their car when they register the next time? Is that where that fee is placed?
Josh, you want
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be the aggressiveness is gonna be dependent on the municipality. About 130 out of the first 505 ignored both citations. So Robert's working with the city judge and Chief Dunstan to figure out a game plan as to how they're going to pursue the 120 that just threw it away or flat out ignored it.
But they will be pursued.
They will be pursued.
So if they don't pay, the ticket and they end up being turned over to, collection
Yeah,
agents.
they can go to collections, Robert and I talked about this yesterday. There might be a set trial date for those 120 to give them one last opportunity to show up. So that's going to vary from municipality to municipality.
But if they do go to collections, y'all take care of trying to collect it, not the city, right?
I couldn't hear that, I'm sorry.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Yes. They won't know about it, but we take care of collections.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah.
So Robert, Mark, are you the city attorney or the, Securex attorney?
I am the city attorney, and for all this, and I'm the Securex attorney, so for when all this came to Ocean Springs,
Okay.
I recused myself. And I had to,
My point of asking that is you said we'll take care of collections. I wasn't clear which entity you were answering on behalf of.
I was actually kind of looking at the Mark iPhone picture here. I was thinking that I would get with our chief of police and let him figure that out. But no, I brought in outside counsel. The city actually, at Moss Point, their city attorney, once this was presented, I backed out and she gave the city advice on this.
But Securex is gonna be the one pursuing a collection suit or the city? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Securex through a Mississippi-based vendor.
That's what I thought. What about bench warrants? Or is that being considered also for somebody that doesn't show up, doesn't pay, throws the citation away?
That is something our city judge is going to have, and the city prosecutor make that determination. I am staying, they're aware of what's going on, but that's totally their call, Jeff, what they do with that. I
Understand.
I gotta stay away.
Any other questions?
You have Mark on the phone. Did you say he was the chief of police? Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
I would at least like to hear his opinion of how it's going and the negatives and positives of all of it while we got him on the phone.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sure. Hey, Jeff, good to speak to you again. I was hoping you were well.
Thank you, Mark. Good to hear from you.
Hey, the program's working really well. The officers that do the actual viewing of the violation had no problems. They've got a laptop, Securex gives them a laptop. They can work from anywhere, anytime, day or night. And very simple process. They've been very happy. And as far as our courts, like Robert was talking about, I've had several conversations with our court clerk, with our judge, and we're trying to determine if we want to take the time later on, if there's somebody who just absolutely refuses to go to court. We're looking at a variety of options, instead of maybe just issuing a bench warrant that would normally go here, because this is done in the mail, discussed possibly having warrants officers go out with just summons to appear. Similar to what we do in something like a neighbor versus neighbor dispute, instead of arresting somebody, just make everybody come forward. And then after the summons be issued, if they fail to show after the judge issues a summons to appear, well, then they would definitely be facing failure to appear charges.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question. What's the lifespan of your cameras that you use?
Yeah, I will say this, the maintenance, and we cover the maintenance as well, it's about 10 to 15% of the value of the camera. I'd say 8 to 10 years, and then they've got to be upgraded or replaced. The technology is improving so much, I would say in 5 years, they'll probably be replaced, and that's something we cover.
Quick question. Who would pay these officers? Will they still be getting paid by the city of Columbus, or will you guys?
In Ocean Springs, we reimburse the city for $25 an hour that they spend reviewing the images. So that's going to vary from city to city. I think it worked out best in Ocean Springs to reimburse the city.
You said $25 an hour?
$25 an hour.
You might have a lot of officers leaving if.
No, they stay employed by the city.
You have to be a sworn officer.
And then the company reimburses the city for its cost paying the officer.
We got some.
And I think in Ocean Springs, they use a couple of retired officers that came back just
That's right.
to monitor that. Is that correct?
That's correct. And that's, and then Pearl, we're still making decisions. A lot of it depends on how many uninsured motorist hits you're getting, but we have 2 retired officers that are, that have come back in Ocean Springs.
And if I can step in, you can also, as I was talking to Chief Schulte the other day, you're going to have officers on late duty. you're gonna have officers who, for one reason or another, do some overtime and, do this off-duty stuff, or off-duty, detail, just like we would any other, like a festival function that's going on in town. So there's a variety of it. I just happen to have two retired officers who wanted to come back and do something with the police department, and this is a great opportunity for us to hire back part-time officers.
So if we have an officer on desk duty or suspended, then they can do this instead of being at home getting paid for nothing.
Any other comments or questions? We really appreciate y'all tuning in with us today.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Thank
Very
you.
good presentation. Thank you.
Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, you too. Next is marijuana growing facilities. Councilman Green?
I'm not here to give my opinion, it's just, this is obviously here, and it's gonna happen, and I thought we might wanna discuss, instead of it just happening, do we have a policy as far as, restrictions or regulations, or can we, or should we? Are there any kind of guidelines that we need to go by or consider before this kind of hits our community, or what?
Butler Snow did, a seminar, a webinar, when, day
Monday.
before yesterday?
Monday, yeah.
Yeah.
That answered, there were lots of questions. I'm
Okay.
not an authority on it, Jeff probably is, but I think that's probably available. But they spent a lot of time answering questions regarding, you know, if you're gonna opt in, the time frame for that. And Jeff, you probably.
You have to opt out, you're in unless you
Yeah,
opt
right.
out.
That's
You got
right.
90 days from the, effective date, and I'm not sure when that was.
I wanna say May 3rd was kind of the date that stuck in my head from when it was implemented, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, and of course, since it's been illegal, we haven't had any zoning that addressed the grow operation of what zoning classification it would fall in. So it would probably be wise to study where you would like to have grow operations located. They're all gonna be indoors, we know that. So on the one hand, you'd think it'd be agricultural, but I don't see why they couldn't be in an industrial zone.
I think that's more likely
Yeah,
because of the
I would-
older buildings and the height.
I would think so too, because they could take an old building and repurpose it
That's right.
for
That's
growing.
what Joe Max talked about in the article that was in the dispatch.
Yeah, he's mentioned it. There have been people looking in the area for quite some time now.
And I have one location for a dispensary that's already been identified in my ward, the Tuesday morning.
And is there any restrictions or regulations on that as well?
Yes, regarding how close it is to a church or
Is that,
school.
is it just like alcohol or something? or-
It's spelled out in the law, I don't remember what the distance is, but there are distances.
Like, you can only have one, it's 1,500 feet within each other. Like you can't have them like right next to each other. Has to be 1,000 feet from a school or a church or
From their property line.
from their property line, correct?
Well, these are all things I just wanted us to have in place, because it's obviously something that's coming and we need to make
I
sure we
would,
know.
I would tend to think the zoning applicable to a pharmacy would be the same for medical marijuana dispensary, because it's gonna be considered like a pharmaceutical.
I think they have to have a safe in the building, that's why they've been looking at a lot of old banks.
Good point.
And-
There's a lot of questions that's gonna come up that we
Well-
didn't even think about trying to
Well,
ask.
and one thing I will add too is it's high-paying jobs that come along with it. They said in other areas where they built, a lot of school teachers and stuff have moved on to these positions because they pay quite well to work inside. There's a lot of background checks you have to clear to do it. Yeah.
What we gonna say? Anything you want to share?
Hey, oh, they buy.
Talking about the heat to grow these, to do the indoor, that'd be a real fire, and you have to look at some unique ways to handle it, because I think they'd be going with heat lamps and having a proper fire system in there to get the fire to start in there.
Yeah, Yeah, there's a lot of electricity and stuff. Joe Max had mentioned that.
Huge
You
one.
have to
I'm
have
pretty
that
sure if
capacity.
someone wants to start something, they're gonna do everything they got to do, whatever, you know.
But it's not a heat lamp, it's
It's
a.
I
a
think,
grow
I think
lamp.
he said the starting salaries were like
LED
50K,
from-
Yeah.
which is
And the
not bad.
permits are quite expensive too.
And they're taxing it, so look at the revenue that's
Yeah.
gonna come to it.
And I think somebody said the starting salaries were like 50K.
Well, I was gonna ask about the revenue part as well. Does that snow, video address that? I'm just wondering, is this a benefit to the city, or is this all state taxes, or how that would work, other than you mentioned the ad valorem of the building itself, but.
There is some that comes
Yeah, I
back
think it
to
comes
us.
back to the state, to the cities.
A percentage, yeah.
Municipalities, yeah.
Well, that shouldn't be our decision making, but I just wanted to make sure we got everything in line of, you know, we know everything is fixing to come our way.
Well, they gave me a link. Did you watch it? But the link didn't work, like that I could share with you or whoever wanted. Did your link work, or did you even try?
I didn't click on the link, I
Okay.
watched it, but you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch
I've
it too.
asked
You can go to the
them.
MML, they'll get you in the right directions, get the link.
Any other questions, comments? All right, we're gonna move to the landfill. Casey?
We have, this has been coming down the line for me, I know, the past 5 years, for the lifespan at the landfill. And right now, I know we just did our 2021 February report, and we have 4.4 years remaining in the landfill. With that saying, it takes just to develop a site at least a year and a half. I know Kevin back here, him and John Cunningham, they did a study, we're about to do a study on the south side of the landfill, that we have some space that we can permit. That's where we at with that, but in order to expand some of the lifespan of the landfill, we have tapered back on some of the stuff that we were receiving into the landfill from private contractors, such as the bulky trees and stuff that they was bringing in, which that takes revenue from us. But in order for us to do our day-to-day operation and bringing stuff in and try to expand the lifespan of the landfill, we had to do something. So, but we're in a spot now, predicament right now, that we need to go ahead and try to get something permitted and start developing a site, or we're gonna get out of the landfill business. We need to make that decision.
You say 4.4 years, but if we have a major disaster,
That's
I'd
when,
look, cut it down to 3.5 years.
that's right, with the quickness. And we still have, I know, maybe 9 or 10 houses of demo that we still have to take out there, that we haven't done yet.
Apartment complex.
Yes, well, we haven't talked about that with council, no, we haven't talked about that.
And this area that you have identified out there beside it,
Yes.
if we develop it, how many years we get out of it? I mean,
You see, that's what,
I know there's a lot of
Right.
variables, but
and
typically.
Kevin have to come in and see how much actually, acreage out there that we can actually get permitted and stuff, so.
Well, Casey is here, I know we never discussed about all the equipment and stuff that you needed, right? But could we use the CARES Act money for some of that equipment?
You can
I
use the
think we can
CARES
do
Act money
anything with
for
the
any,
CARES Act
just
money,
about any
right? Just
legal
anything that
purpose.
we wanted to, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Because it's reimbursement.
okay. I was just wondering. Put that out there.
Anything else?
Anything else? Any more questions? Thank you, sir. Fire chief. How are you, sir?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Still glowing,
Sir,
still glowing.
He is still loaded.
getting closer.
I thought you was extending it out to September. No.
That's a good one, Councilman.
That's a good one.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, sir.
I think we're here to talk about, fire trucks and equipment need. To the mayor, to the council, yesterday we was able to pick up, Tuesday, excuse me. We, went to Britley Mountain, which is in Union Grove, Alabama, and we acquired a 2014, fire truck, from them. It has, with us acquiring that, it put our reserve status back up to what we need, because right now, we're in search of pinch on, equipment. We have several fire trucks that are out of fix, so we have been running 2 Tahoes instead of 5 trucks, and that's very dangerous for our city. But while we was doing that, I did call the State Rating Bureau and talk to Ty Wyndham, just to let him know what our needs was. I also talked to him about this 2014 truck, understanding that the type of trucks that we buy in the fire service are custom built pumpers, okay? On a custom built pumper, you normally get 20 years of credit for them, and if you keep up with the maintenance and all your data, they give you an extra 5 years, which put us to 25 years. With us acquiring this 2014 pumper, it has 18 years of first line pumper still left on it for the city. So it's filling the gap if we should have a need for an engine to be put in our primary spots. We only have 1 reserve truck now, and it's been run full time because of the fire truck that we got a grant for last year is totally out of commission down at the city shop. If you go down there, you'll see it. So what we done, we put that reserve truck in its place. With that being said, we have 3 more trucks that need major work done to them. One of the biggest problems is getting parts and financing. So we decided to go. That truck, 2014 is probably worth $600,000 new, maybe a little bit more. We got it for $205, and we bought out our insurance rebate money. So actually, again, with no cost to the city. But we do have ongoing problems. We do have our next truck that's coming in, that the mayor and I, we went and inspected out. It'll be in January 2023. That will be engine 25, be a brand new pumper, which will give us 25 years. Also working with Representative Kabir Kareem, we may be able to get another additional $500,000 grant, which is the truck right now, it costs $880,000. It's gonna be the same duplicate of what we have, because it will have a 7 to 8 foot ladder on it, because of the area that it responds to, and will be out by Kmart. If we're able to get that $500,000 grant, it will put us in a tremendous place for truck equipment and buying up trucks. It will put us in a place that the city won't have to buy a truck for a while. Now, how long, I don't know, but my advice will put it on the rotation so that it don't overlap and cost the city a lot, and to divide these up. And I think we'll be in great shape there.
You said the new truck is already in the shop? I didn't quite catch the.
No, sir.
You said you had a fire truck that was out of commission that was in the.
Yeah, we have trucks that's out of commission. We have 3 trucks now, that need major work done to it. When we take a truck send it to the shop, for whatever reason, we had to have a reserve truck. In our reserve status, we only have 1 truck that could fit that, okay? Engine 25, which is the truck that we got replaced with the grant from AFG, it's totally shut down, blew the motor, so we cannot even use it. That truck was gonna be used until we could get the new truck, okay? All right, with the AFG grant, anyway it goes with the AFG grant, it's got stipulations in there the truck was condemned for safety reasons anyway. We could not sell the truck as a fire truck. We could sell it for a farmer that could use it on the farm, or someone cutting trees, we could sell it like that. But that truck totally broke down on us. So it's not in use anymore, and we were dependent on that truck to get us until the new truck come in. But when it broke down, we had to put our reserve truck in that place. Then our reserve truck broke down. You got to understand, the reserve truck is exactly what it is. It breaks down, and it's hard to get parts for. But in the essence, the way we're going now with the truck, since we were allowed to look outside sources, we done before. We bought a used truck in 2017 to kind of fill the gaps. Right now, Columbus is in a unique position. The way that we have it set up, every truck that we have now that's running frontline pumper is within that 25 years. Normally, the engine 30 uptown, we have 3 trucks uptown. We have engine 21, which is your primary main truck. We have engine 30, and then we have ladder 19. Engine 30 crew mans ladder 19. The state rating bureau allows us to do that. So when they need to go, that crew switches over to the ladder truck. Well, engine 30 has never been a frontline pumper within time frame. We could use an older truck, 25 years or older, in that spot. But now we have a 1999, which is running in that spot, which is in the 25-year period. So once we get all our trucks put back in, we could take this 2014 or another truck, whichever they want to do, and put it in this spot, and we'll have our frontline pumpers covered for a while. But it's important that you understand that once we get everything in place, that we need to kind of set up a schedule for changing out these trucks, because right now what happened is they're stacking up on us all at once. And thank God we got a lot of grants, and y'all was gracious enough that we could work through it. Okay?
Thank you, Chief. I know you've worked long and hard on helping get the funding for those trucks.
Yes.
The fire department has been very successful in grants in recent years, and that's been very helpful.
Yes.
Any other questions for the fire chief? All right, if not, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Police chief, you're up next to talk about the fleet management of the cars. I'm going to step away. I've got some tourists outside to visit with. Ms. Garrett, if you will keep the meeting going with questions and stuff. Yes.
Before you go, is anybody going to give us an update on the audit, or where we are with that?
The audit is the last conversation I had with our auditors, the audit will be prepared in May, but she is coming to the council meeting on Tuesday. Wanda Holly will be at the meeting to discuss.
Okay. And did we lose that grant?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, well, I'm going to step outside and invite some visitors to Columbus. And Chief, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Back a couple of months ago, we had Enterprise, if y'all remember at the council meeting, the proposal plan. I think where we got caught up is how we're supposed to do a request for proposal, RFP. So, Ms. Gary, you're helping me with that. We figured out a way to do it. Could you help me with it? On the process that we're gonna use to go forward with that. Ma'am? Okay, so you was talking about reverse auction and that type of stuff, so exactly how we're gonna do that.
Give me an opportunity to look over it again, and I'll make sure we get it out to the public.
I know we gave her the floor, but if you hadn't had knowledge of this, we don't have to discuss it today because there's still an ongoing process.
That's correct.
Thank you.
But we will get back to the public.
Okay, thank you. And again, so I'm not trying to put on the spot, Ms. Pat was handling 50 different things, and so now we're able to get.
Y'all good.
Let's get that going, though.
All right. Next work
Okay,
session.
next work session, Thursday, April 14th at 10:30 a.m. Any closing remarks?